Definitely want to know what you guys think first before I say anything or give any kind of context to it. My name is Kader Amkpa. I'm a mixed media artist, originally from the Bronx, New York. We're here in my studio out here in Los Angeles. So this piece is based on the Sokoku policy, and I was out in Japan when they were basically closing down their borders because they were afraid of colonialism spreading via Christianity. They shut down their borders for 200 years, basically shut down trade, all of that kind of stuff. This piece is about the transition from feudalism to capitalism. Japan is so interesting to me because they literally went from like within 50 years from having feudal lords, daimyos, or what they call them. I'm pronouncing that wrong. Somebody Japanese, please correct me. But they went from that to rapidly industrializing during the Meiji Restoration. So it's not to get too historical, but it's just to tell like that story and tie it in the greater context of colonialism. So the title of the piece is Gunboat Diplomacy. And this is the American gunboat from that era. It's not the exact one that Commodore Perry sailed to Japan with and forced them to open up trade. But the story goes, the US sent their Navy out there and basically told them, look, if you guys don't open up your borders, we see you guys have a lot of stuff going on here. You have direct access to the East India companies. Either open up your borders or we're gonna blow this shit up. And that's literally what they did. They didn't blow it up, but they did force them to open things up. And that's a gunboat with the American flag kind of tucked in the back. I didn't want it to be like too overt or in the viewer's face. I kind of wanted people to like have to walk around, look in there and see for themselves. And this war elephant, it's funny, they didn't have elephants in Japan. They did have them in China, but to me, like the war elephant, first of all, elephants are smart as hell, and they have crazy memory, but the fact that we used to put elephants in wars and like drape them in armor and gold and all these little banners and whatnot was just always fascinating to me. So it symbolizes strength. And the samurai, he's already dead, which is why there's like a skeletonized version of him up there, but that's also just symbolizing the shift from feudalism to a more violent form of capitalism with modern weapons, guns, bullets, not swords and spears and all of that kind of stuff. And then these birds, crested ibis or crescent ibis, they're Japanese birds, traditional birds, and it goes back to all these other pieces, like the birds repeat as a motif to symbolize something that's closer to the truth, especially when we look at maps and how all of these are just imaginary lines and resources that were created by us, you know? When I think of colonialism, especially being African and being an immigrant, like I got my citizenship 3 years ago during Trump's presidency, first one, I know. My grandma was on my ass, she was like, make sure you do it. But we think of colonialism and we directly associate it with like Africans, at least for me, I'll speak for myself. The entire world was literally colonized at one point by different empires. And Japan, to me, their response to it, I'm not mad at them. It's like, let's shut this shit down. We're not letting anyone in. You know, that was their response. And it was out of fear, but it kind of worked. And then what's also interesting about it is they became the same imperialists that they were afraid of, and they went and took over Taiwan and different things, did horrific things in China during their first war. So it's almost like the kid that got bullied became like one of the bullies in the school. So I find that really interesting. And the second part is like, I don't want to just tell this story from an African perspective or as if it only happened to Africans, because there's a greater context and history to it that I think each chapter should kind of have its own piece on it, because it's not new. Like the whole fear of immigration, fear of people, just xenophobia, all of that stuff has been around forever. It's just different forms of it, you know. A lot of this stuff is just repetitive, and it's crazy that we don't catch on to it. And like maybe it's because we don't live long enough to see it repeat so much, and it's not taught, you know. But when you talk to older people, like they're always like, "Yeah, we see the same shit, different day." Like, they've seen all of this already. They understand it for what it is. So, I don't know. Okay, so this one, I sourced them, all the maps are sourced from the Library of Congress because it's public domain, so it's no copyrights on them. And that's something I try to think about in relationship to the conversation I'm having with the work, like who gets to own these maps, who are the people that created these, for what purpose, all of that kind of stuff. Materials, these are like different caliber bullets from shooting range that I literally just picked up from the ground. This is like wood filler that kind of recreates the effect of sand. And I think of it like storming the beach almost. Like to me, this was supposed to be like a landscape full of like bullets and like precious minerals, raw earth minerals. And then framing it, like I try to think of the process as well in terms of like literally framing it, creating a border around it, all of those different things, how that speaks to the work and what it's doing. There's actually like different references and stuff happening in there, so I wanted people to kind of stick their heads in there and interact with it. Almost looking deeper into it, and then going back to the whole process, like removal, layering, sanding. These are all things that I feel like go hand in hand with the story I'm trying to tell. So I think of like process and materials as like also like part of the story. But this, you know, it's funny, like maps are always in like a square or rectangle shape. I don't know why. But I do want to get out of that and explore more and see what I can kind of, like, I was thinking of doing like a but a lot of it is just like trying to keep the files and the maps like as true to their original.
Why is that important to you?
Because I always think like, who are the people that had these at home? Like imagine the motherfuckers that just wake up one day and be like, I'm gonna go take over this shit. Like what kind of entitled shit is that? No, for real though, but like there's families that had these in like their offices and shit, and they would just walk around and be like, where am I gonna go land next? Like that mentality and entitlement to me is just crazy. So like, yeah, like I think about that. Like, you know.
Is there a solution within your work?
That's a good question. And the reason why I say it's a good question is because I don't want to approach it as like a historian or documentarian, because we're artists at the end of the day. And when you're retelling these stories, you're kind of telling a story without really offering a solution. But if I'm being completely honest, as of right now, I don't see a solution because I don't have one. I'm just fascinated with these topics and the parallels they have to a lot of stuff that's happening now and each other when I look at like different chapters in history.
Why do you create? Why do you create?
Okay, I got different answers. I'm gonna be as honest as possible. The main one is because obviously like I love doing it, but there was one time I was working a temp job and I was like, you know what? This is the only thing I can do in my life that won't cap me out at like how much money I can make. Like the type of freedom, and it's not to say money is everything, but just that freedom. Like when you're like working some of these jobs and you're just like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? But then you like come home and you're working on something, and you're like, okay, this feels like if I could do this forever, like.
I'd be straight.
Yes. Yes. I don't even want to be rich. Just fuck on. Just let me do this. Give me whatever I can to be able to do this. Whatever else is extra. That's another reason. Like I try to do it like a job where it's like, okay, if I'm gonna work for somebody else like 8, 12 hours, like why not work for myself like that, you know? We know the truth. deep down inside, you know the truth. Like, you can get mad if somebody tells you the truth because of how they say it. That's always the case, right? Like, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. But you know the truth. You gotta be self-aware and at least know when somebody's telling you something that's honest. Like, if it's not true, then it shouldn't bother you. You know, like, if it's true, like, you're gonna think about it and be like, oh shit, like, they made a good point. But if it's not, it's just not gonna even be in your head.
Okay.
At first, I wanted people to want to be like educated in a sense, where it's like, not to say people are dumb, but like, I wanted people to like look more into these specific stories. Now I feel like that's not something that I can control, so it's not something that I should aspire for. So I guess just reflection, like self-reflection, whether or not, like, if you see it and don't want to reflect, that's also fine. But I used to kind of be in this mode of like, oh, I want people to like go home and research. It's like, they're not gonna do that shit. And if they do, like, cool, but like, that's not what it's for. Like, I would rather connect with one person that knows. Like, I had one lady, when I was showing this piece, she was Indonesian, and the first thing out of her mouth was like, oh, so you know about the batik method? And she was the first person that like came up to me and said it like that. And she was excited because she understood the connection right away. So like, if one person that happens to know what these stories are about gets it, like, that's cool with me.
Always a fire.
Yeah, I'd rather that than like a bunch of people trying to figure it out, or like be like, why is the samurai on the elephant? Like, that type of that. You know, I had to look back at a lot of my own personal history, my family, like my grandmother. My great grandpa on my mom's side is French. He was 100% white. Like movie shit. This dude was like hunting crocodiles and like found my great grandmother and like had 7 kids with her and had a family with her. It wasn't like a weird like situation where he just like plucked her out. But I say that to say I had to really look at I know that sounds crazy. They're gonna hear this too. But I had to say but I say that to say it makes me look into my own history, my own story. I'm like, okay, how does that make me, where do I place myself in these stories that I'm telling, instead of just looking at everybody else and trying to point the finger, that type of thing. Yeah, like, I appreciate America with all its flaws a lot more when I go to other places like Niger and see how, and it's not to say America is better by any chance, but it's more so just seeing how these countries are still developing after colonialism and all of those things. It puts into perspective how far ahead a lot of other countries are. Not better, just ahead. It's crazy, even seeing someone outside sleeping in a tent, like, when you go to some of these places, you'll see babies on the side of the road begging for food. Like, at least you know here, someone that's in a tent may have social security, welfare, or something. Like,
That they could go to.
Food stamps, like, over there is nothing. And you literally see people starve to death. So it's just like life on hard mode versus like rookie mode, you know, like, it's that type of shit, yeah. Thank you. This was great.
Is there anything else that you wanted to add?
No, I feel like this was good. I liked it. I appreciate y'all. Thank you, Brittney. Thank you, Marcus. I really love y'all.
Okay, we're not done.